October 17th, 2016, 5:30 p.m. And we're at the Electric Peterson Middle School Library in Peterson. And Director Muro is with us via Skype from the Air Force Lodge, 14 Summit Drive in Minot, North Dakota. We have a roll call, please.
Valerie Howe.
Here.
Joyce Iverson.
Here.
Julie Cope.
Here.
John Linder.
Here.
Dean Muro.
Here.
Taylor Peterson.
Here.
John Pettit.
Here.
Hayden Stensgaard.
Here.
Thank you. Item 3, the adoption of the agenda. We have a couple of changes, it appears. The first change would be the October board bills in the amount of $1,806,706.82. Add personnel issue, the resignation of Joe Hatch, junior high girls basketball coach. Add new business as number 5, the review and approve the updates to the school logo and mascot. And then that would change the closed session to number 6 instead of number 5. Any other changes, Mr. Evans?
No, that's everything we need to do tonight.
With those changes, for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
By Peterson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Anderson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the adopted agenda with the consent agenda with the changes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. The agenda is adopted. Item 4, public comments are heard. Is there any public comments? Okay, moving on to item 5, new school progress update. Tim Robertson, what do you got for us, Tim?
Good afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. As far as progress, they are clipping along as expected. Nothing holding us back at the moment. Roofing is going on at a champion pace. We're roughly 75–80% under roof, so completely dried in. As far as progress, the mechanical rough ends, so the ductwork and water lines and fire suppression, those lines are going in play right now, being hung from the deck work, and the stud framing in areas A and B, which are primarily the school function rooms, the actual classrooms, ECE, elementary, middle school, and high school. All of those in A and B are going up metal stud framing. They're basically done, framed out in that area with all of the wood blocking behind the walls in place. The sheetrock for those two areas have been delivered. They're actually unloading throughout the course of this week and going to start installing sheetrock in those areas. Aluminum windows, all the exterior aluminum frames, if you guys have driven by, those are all in place. The majority of the windows are in. They have a few open for deliveries just to move product in and out of the building in each specific room. That's why you see some of the plywood instead of glass in some of the areas. Roofing area A, that has now been completed. The stone veneer that is going up, you see that on the gymnasium side, that's essentially complete. The main columns in the front of the building where the canopy, where all the wood trusses come out and actually rest on those stone columns, those are done now, and they're continuing moving stone canopy or the stone veneer around. The decking on the underside of our wood trusses, inside and outside of buildings, so the exterior and interior down the main feeder hallway, that's in place now. As far as projected progress throughout the month, they're going to complete all of the metal stud framing. They're going to back up all of the wood blocking, so anything that gets hung on the walls, that's going to be in place, and then sheetrock is coming immediately after that. The final of the aluminum windows and the glazing, that'll be installed in the next coming month. They're planning on hanging drywall with tape and float, so the actual mud making the walls smooth. They're going to get a really good start on that in the next week, and that'll go throughout the winter as we do winter conditions and enclosing the building and heating it, so they can continue to work in the property over the winter. The utilities, the gas line, that's probably one of the biggest milestones that doesn't look like a whole lot, but the main gas line will actually get completed this week, so they can install their temporary heaters, so we can actually start, when it does start getting cold, we can keep up with the ambient temperatures outside to keep it warm. As far as that, it's just moving along like it really should. There's no massive update this month. I'm open for questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Robertson?
I'll just add to what Tim shared with you. Fraser Construction is back on site and will be shaping up the loading dock area on the backside, and will begin preliminary work on Grimswood roadway as well, so that will be underway here in the next 10 days.
Good. All right, thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6, the consent agenda. First is the September 19th regular board meeting minutes located on pages 3 and 4. Donations in the amount of $900. Page 5. September hand payables, wires, and payroll liabilities in the amount of $201,126.06 located on pages 6 through 8. September payroll in the amount of $237,287.69. October board bills in the amount of $1,806,706.82. The middle school and high school activity fund reports for July through September, located on pages 17 through 21. And several personnel issues, the resignation of Davin Thompson, 8th grade basketball coach, and the hire of Jordan Thiede in the assistant wrestling coach, as well as the additional resignation of Joe Hatch, junior high girls basketball coach. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Not look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make some motion.
Motion by Howell,
Hopeful second.
second by Cole. Any further discussion or question? Those in favor of approving the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Item 6 is approved. Moving on to new business. First, we have approved the notice of general election for the upcoming school board election on page 23. It's just required by statute. So, anything you want to add to that, Mr. Allen?
No, it just gives you an idea of how the ballot will read, and again, it is on page 23 of your packet. So take a look, and I'll be happy to answer any questions, concerns you have in regards to the ballot.
Do they, at this level, I guess, of school board, do they put incumbent behind names?
They do not, is my understanding.
This is the way it'll appear, exactly like this. Any other questions on the election ballot? Not, look for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, Iverson.
Motion by Iverson. For a second?
Second by Miro.
Miro, second. All those in favor of approving the notice of general election for the upcoming school board election signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item 2, approve the first reading of policy number 875, facilities naming rights policy, which is enclosed.
Separate document in your packet. The Rushford Peterson Foundation has been working on coming up with this policy, and they're presenting it to you tonight for board approval. So this is the first of 2 readings, so gives you an opportunity to look it through and bring back any suggestions, ideas, or concerns that you might have in regards to the naming policy.
I have a question about the transferability. Could you explain that in a little more detail?
Okay, what page?
It's on page 3, number 7.
Before I get into detail on this, I do want the board to know that Joe Langle, our school attorney, did read through and approved the document and provided his suggestions and ideas. But Joyce has raised the question about transferability. The naming rights and consideration must be transferred by mutual agreement between all parties. So if a family has a name there and they want to change it to another name or transfer it, they would have to go through the naming right recognition of it. That's my understanding of it.
So basically, a revised application?
Correct. And that is included in your document as well, so you will see that for the consideration of the naming privileges.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
In the naming rights, we've never obviously had that previously? This has just come up now with the new building?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other avenues we've looked at doing, like, some places have, I'm trying to think, gold, silver, bronze donators, that their names can be listed as a gold member and get like a plaque or something? Is that anything of an option versus having to say that this wing is going to be dedicated under this name?
That's a possibility, yes. Yeah. You could consider that option.
Do you have anybody that has brought any money or interest to have a name that's caused this policy to be enacted?
Yes, we have. We have an individual that has approached the school district and has requested an area to be named after his family. That's a legacy that they wish to leave. I would not be willing to share that until the policy is approved, so I don't want that to have an influence on the actual policy itself. So that's why the policy is being presented to you. Once the policy is adopted at the next board meeting, then we will encourage that person or family to move forward with their request. And again, the document is enclosed that they would be required to fill out, and then of course it goes to the foundation, and then the foundation presents it to the board for your formal acceptance.
I guess I wouldn't mind looking at some more alternatives in that sense of the gold, silver, or any other ideas people have. For naming, like, wings of the school and stuff, I guess I personally would like to see it be people who have maybe impacted that, not just financially, but, when you have employees that work here for, say, 40 years, give them recognition, even if,
Sure. The intent of the policy, as you perhaps can ascertain reading through it, is to just what it says. It's giving a family or someone in the community that wishes to leave a legacy, and in doing so, they're willing to make a financial gift, and then in return for that gift is to have that naming right. To give you an example, for example, at the Lourdes School, their gymnasium was named after a family, and that family made a significant contribution to the school district in efforts to be granted the naming rights for that school district. So the example that you see tonight in front of you is the work that has been undertaken for the last couple of months here by the RP Foundation and looking at various other policies and making sure that this policy fits our situation as well. So I can't rule out that, you know, there's other venues that you've asked Julie to make sure that we explore those. But again, those are the examples that we use to formulate this policy.
And does Lures have like a duration, a time duration like this one's proposing?
From my understanding is that the ones that we are aware of, those are lifetime donations.
Okay.
Just one thing I might add, I think maybe we could look at maybe doing a financial component as well as kind of like like this, somebody that's kind of an award component, where they might not have the financial ability, but we recognize the individuals for whatever they've done, as well as the financial component, so we kind of have a two-tiered system.
Okay. Thanks for that suggestion, Dean.
I believe when I went through here, there was a minimum of 30,000, I believe, was the dollar value.
Yes, in that effort, we looked at square footage and we utilized that as a means of formulating the dollar amount.
I would consider that pretty paltry for a donation to have your name on a piece of public property forever. I would think it'd have to be more like Lourdes, where they probably built that gym.
Yeah, I'd have to say you're right.
Yeah. So I would think that should be adjusted a great amount further, because we are a public entity, and to put a private name on there, I think would have to be a whole lot more than that. It's not a Pepsi sign, you know, we in the past have made them exclusive and that kind of thing, but this is much more to me than that.
And those are discussions we've had at this foundation committee meeting too. I mean, that is something that we're struggling with, and that's why we're having this first reading tonight.
And is there any, I'm just trying to remember, any clause like that they are a Rushford-Peterson supporter in the sense of that they live in the district, their children, the family's been in the district? It's not somebody from the Twin Cities, say, that has a interest in just throwing out their name. You know what I mean?
I don't think there was any.
I don't think there's anything specific in there that says
Where
Is
they
it
live,
needed, or is
yeah.
that not anything really needed?
As a board, you can designate anything you wish if you want to take that back to the foundation and say, maybe you want to consider that they be a resident of the district. I guess I would be somewhat hesitant to do that, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just curious.
I can't imagine someone else wanting to come in and request naming rights, but you never know. It's a valid concern.
Could be graduates as well.
It could be,
Sure,
yes.
yeah, right. Any other comments on the policy? We look for a motion to approve the first reading.
I'll make that motion.
Iverson, is there a second? Second by Howe. Any further discussion or comments on the policy on the naming rights? Not those in favor of the first reading of the facility naming rights, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 3 on new business, approve the 2016-17 agreement with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center. Located on pages 24 through 27. Strahler, anything you want to add to that?
Just that we've had the privilege of working with them, and this is the mental health component that we have been able to incorporate into our school. So we are asking for formal approval of that. It's a program that we basically just followed the format that we have used in the past, and so we're just asking for your approval to continue with that effort as well.
Do you have any questions on the agreement with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center?
Cope would make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Cope, is there a second?
Second by Howe.
Second by Howell. Any further discussion or comments on the agreement?
This is not part of Hiawatha Valley Ed District, this is a separate entity.
This is a separate entity, correct?
Item 3, approve the 16-17 agreement with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center is pending. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item 4, administrative reports.
Oops, item 5. Oh, I'm sorry.
We're moving on to 4 first here.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was thinking those were at the end.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yep, Mr. Taylor, you're up first. Your report's located on pages 28 to 29.
Sure. Thank you. Sorry about that. So on page 28 of the reports, we're happy to report that we are the recipients of a $500 donation from the Eric Rumstead Memorial Tournament, and this is a legacy that was left in Eric Rumstead's memory, and his friends get together and conduct a fundraiser, and then they reward schools within the area dollars to go back into their industrial tech or industrial arts department. So we're appreciative of that. Extended our thank yous on behalf of the board for the Rushford Peterson Foundation on the Conquer the Bluff and the Tri-City Challenge that was held on Friday, October 7th, and then on Saturday, October 8th. We had some very positive feedback from the event, and it turned out to be a good morning, so we're very pleased with the participation of that and the number of volunteers, both students and adults, that showed up to help with that. Public comments at the last board meeting in regards to the Chromebook. I just wanted the board to be aware that we did address the concerns that were presented at the last board meeting. The regional MREA meeting was held at RP Schools, and that was held on Wednesday the 21st. Julie Cope and Val Howe were in attendance and served as your representatives at the meeting. The one thing that MREA was seeking was a consensus from the group in the meeting as to the legislative platform that they should move forward for this coming legislative session, and the resounding feedback to them was the tax bill, and then request for additional dollars to be placed on the general ed formula. So all in all, my thanks to Julie and Val for attending the meeting, and Fred Nolan and Sam Wallsteth have set the priorities, and certainly applaud them on seeking input from our school districts in the area as well. On the new school update, as Tim indicated to you this evening, the steady progress is being made, and so we're very appreciative of that, and we continue to send out those weekly updates to you, so ask you to take a look at those, and if you have questions or concerns that arise of those, please let either myself or Tim know. On behalf of the school district, we extended our condolences and sympathies to Jacob Olson and his family on the death of his mother, Ellen, and that funeral was held in last week, and so again, we extended our condolences and sympathies. Happy to report that this fall we participated in the gleaning of squash and pumpkins from Featherstone Farms. As you well know, they allow us to come out after they have finished their harvesting for us to come in and pick whatever's left. And we had some student volunteers, and Marshall Johnson and Neil Courier, and then adult volunteers. So again, those items go to the school and process the squash, and the teachers each have pumpkins available for their use in their classroom. So the access easement, we have a mediation session that was held on Monday, September 26th, and you'll be talking to the school attorney this evening in a closed session to provide you additional information. The softball fields in Peterson, as a result of the heavy rains that fell on Wednesday, September 21st, we had quite a bit of damage that was done, and I invite you to take a look as you leave. You don't even need to walk out to that area. You can just go to the south side of the building, look out the windows. Lots of debris was washed into our softball fence and field, and so we were able to get the fence line cleaned up this past weekend with some volunteers. So I'm very appreciative of that. And then we're working with Fillmore County as they make an effort to get declared as a disaster area. And then we still have quite a bit of work that needs to be done by some heavy equipment, and so we will continue to explore those options through the disaster relief. And then we will try to get our work completed this fall so that the field is in playing condition come spring. So, on that note, just a reminder that we're hosting Meet the School Board candidates next Monday night, October 24th at 6:30 p.m. in the high school theater. So, be happy to answer any questions, concerns that you might have as a board.
I just got a follow-up question, Mr. Freeholder. So what is the current number for students that left the district?
I would have to get you those numbers, Dean. I can check on that for you.
No, I mean, I brought it up last month, and then I also followed up with several of the parents, and two of the parents were not contacted on why their students were leaving the district.
Okay. Would you be willing to share those names?
No, I will.
I mean through an email. Just share them so I can follow up with it.
Yep, I'll do that.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you. And I'll get you those numbers.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
So one other question related to the field, where did that damage come from? Does that come from the construction site?
No, the softball fields are here in Peterson, and what's happened, Dean, and for other board members too, is there was a waterway that flowed out into the field and eventually made its way down into the Root River. But what's happened over the years is that waterway has gotten plugged, and so now the water is diverted and comes into our softball field area, so it can't get all the way through. And the adjoining property owner is not willing to allow the county to clean out that waterway. So we wind up with a mess on our field. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I have a question, and I don't know if it's for you, Chuck, or for Dan, but I thought I read Davin Thompson's resignation, but that he wanted to volunteer for boys basketball, but we hired Joe Hatch, who was girls basketball. I'm confused. Did we not accept Davin's offer to volunteer?
We didn't approve a hire for Devin tonight, did we?
No.
No, we only approved his resignation tonight. In his letter, he indicated to you that he wanted to be a volunteer, so we'll bring that to you at the next board meeting. We'll bring that as a hire.
So you have more than one opening in boys basketball?
I'll let Dan answer that. He can-
Yeah, and I can cover now or then, yeah. Yeah, so currently Davin has been serving as 8th grade boys basketball, Jordan Ogg has been 7th grade boys basketball. Joe Hatch was 8th grade girls, and Carissa Brewer was 7th grade girls. Davin indicated that he wanted to resign from the position, and you obviously have that letter, but expressed interest in staying on as a volunteer. But we would still be hiring a replacement. Joe Hatch, in his resignation, indicated he's resigning from the girls with the intent of applying for, or showing his interest in the boys. So we needed to formally accept the resignations first, so that's what we're doing now. And then at the next board meeting, I would bring forward, hopefully, obviously, approved candidate for a girls' position as well as for the boys' position to fill both of those. If that makes sense?
Will those be advertised then?
Correct, yes, yes. Obviously, after you guys approve the resignation. We sent out an initial thing, just on Friday, within the staff, you know, to the staff, just notifying that those would be openings. But yes, we'll publicize those, Rushford paper, I believe, the Winona County, or Winona Daily News, and on our website and whatnot to seek out candidates for both of those. Of course, we've got somebody that potentially will fit that boys, but we need to still do our due diligence and post it, so.
Just one last thing, Mr. Earl, you mentioned the mediation process. I know we're going into a closed session, but, you know, as a board member, I was a little bit in the dark on the process, so hopefully we can clear that up in the closed session, because I thought this was going to be an ongoing process, not a one-time shot.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I invite you to ask our Joe Langle on that tonight when we go into closed session.
Anything else from Mr. Ayler? Thank you, Mr. Ayler. Moving on to community ed report, Ms. Austin.
We continue with our youth dance at 79. Junior spikers, we had 36 little junior spikers from 3rd grade to 6th grade, so that was a wonderful turnout. STEM club starts for our kindergarten through 2nd grade, and we have 11 signed up for that. So that's a wonderful after-school program as well. Youth tackle football finished up. This was their first season doing it on their own, not with partnership with Maury Miller. So Davin did a really nice job, 32, actually 33 participants. And then they had a game versus Lanesboro on Thursday the 13th. So that was a lot of fun.
Or just Lanesboro?
With Lanesboro, yep. And then tonight we have basketball sign up with Math Wizards. So we're already receiving registrations coming in for our next season. So. Adult enrichment, 55 driving, we had 19 participants. We also have our 8-hour course. We haven't ran that for at least a year, so hopefully we'll fill that this weekend. And our ESL class continues to stay strong at 7 to 9 participants consistently, I believe, each Tuesday, Thursday. So that's been really nice to see. Adult rec continues to go on Monday nights, and then kids club, our averages continue to stay pretty steady. 11 in the morning, 34 in the afternoon, so that's very, very good. Lily B, we had 2 new students that joined us last week even, so we're up to 57. We did receive a wonderful donation from Johnson Rolling Acres. We've received that every year I've been here, so it's wonderful, and I think they did it before that. But they donate enough money to cover the preschool milk for the whole year for all of our students, so that was $897.25. So thank you to them. Rushford Fire Department gave tours of the trucks and gave talk during Fire Prevention Week, so we thank them for that. ECFE 2 is going really well. We are partnering tonight with Math Wizards, and then we have Kids Carnival on the 30th. We also have an open gym coming up on November 14th as well. And then special thank you to Tracy Agramson, who subbed for Sarah Blackmeyer, who was long-term subbing for another teacher in our district. So great partnership, and I'm just so thankful that she was back and able to teach for us. That was wonderful. And then our screening, we screened 26 children on Friday, September 30th, and out of that screening, I was made aware of 3 extra students that I wasn't aware that they were in our district. So that was really fun to connect with the families and give them our information and get them enrolled in preschool. So that's all I have.
Any questions from Ms. Lawson? Thank you. Moving on to the elementary and middle school report, Mr. Tim.
Yep, thank you. To start the elementary middle school report, listing some of our intervention programs we have there. Title I, elementary and middle school. Kind of those students that aren't quite special ed, we kind of catch them hopefully before they fall into special education, and we can work with them there. Below that we got our STAR students. As Mrs. Shepherd said last month, kind of changed it up, and last Friday kind of called them down made a big to-do for them, called the parents, and that's probably the best thing about the STAR students is making that phone call to the parents, because normally I think when they see RP schools on the dial, I get a lot of, hello, Mr. Tim, what did my kid do today? So it's great to sometimes give them that positive phone call on a Friday afternoon. So, middle school, they're knowledgeable and student council members, as you can see. They had their pumpkin bowl, which was the week after homecoming. They have their dress-up days over here. They have their first big dance at the middle school. I know they played their game kind of under the lights. They announced it and stuff like that over at the field. Math Wizards, as Lisa said, is going on tonight. So Title I, Shannon's led that. Shannon, and then our intervention, Jake Dahl and Margaret Merkowitz kind of leading that. So that's going to start here in a little bit. Deaf, hard of hearing field trip you see there. And just kind of some other housekeeping stuff that you had there. Staff Development Committee, Fire Prevention Week, Parent-Teacher Conferences already come in, and then a K-3 program using the grant on how to be a hero and Ministory. So we had those come in, and that's that Kevin Strauss, I believe his name, who does some of the storytelling around at the library a lot. So he came in and did some storytelling to the kids on stuff. So middle school, or that's elementary, middle school, if you guys have any questions.
Go ahead and jump into the high school
High
report.
school, yep. To start there, some good news. We got Bailey Bestial, who is a current senior, scored a 35 on his ACT last year. Kate Klunkfoot scored that as well the year before, but that puts him in the top 1% in the nation. The top scored a 36. So back-to-back years, we've had a student from RP score in the top 1% with their ACT score, which is great. In addition to that, he earned a commended student designation on the National Merit Scholarship Program. There's over 1.6 million juniors that take the PSAT each fall. He scored in the top 50,000 of that, so he got a commended student certificate. Just some field trips that we had students taking. We had 18 juniors and seniors go to the Mayo Career Fair. Kind of a neat career fair where it's pretty much everything male, and it's not just all doctors, nurses. I went last year, and they have everything from flying the helicopter, like at Mayo 1 to pick up those people, and the computer and all that stuff. It's just pretty much anything that Mayo has for a career, they have there. So it's an opportunity if people want to see what Mayo has to offer, they could go into it even if they're not necessarily in the medical field. Later that week, our entire junior class went to a college and career expo in La Crosse. And then coming up later this month, our entire junior class is going to go on our tour in Winona, which is kind of neat. What they have there is they've got the Minnesota State Southeast, a 2-year technical college. They have Winona State, a 4-year public, and then St. Mary's, a 4-year private school. So they get a tour of each of those schools. They treat us really nice. We've been doing that for a few years, and it gives our students just that opportunity to see 3 different types of post-secondary education all on the same day. As Lisa mentioned too, with Kids Carnival, partnering with our early childhood there in our ECFE, with our student council to hold that. Next one there, a great thing, our Perkins Consortium. Brian Cashman kind of helped us find a grant. He kind of came to us one day, he's like, there's this grant about startup programs in the CTE, the Career and Tech Ed area. He's like, we worked on this to apply for that. So that healthcare core CNA licensing class that we've talked about a little bit, went out and got some more money for that, and what it's going to allow us to do is send Aaron Thompson, who's going to be teaching it, to a HOSA workshop and a HOSA competition, which HOSA is kind of like FFA for healthcare. It's probably the easiest way that I can say. I don't know what the letters stand for off the top of my head. So it's just kind of a neat thing where she'll go up to a workshop with all the other HOSA advisors, and then also they've got a competition, so she's going to go up and see that. And then Dana Thompson, who's going to be our certified nurse partner from Good Shepherd, is going to tour and observe some other CNA prep programs, just so when that starts second semester we can get that off the ground and running right away with our kids. Their homecoming week, which took place after, I think it was the week of our last board meeting. So we had the student council just did a phenomenal job again at homecoming to the festivities for the week, the dress-up days. We had our royalty there. Ethan and Brianna were our king and queen. They did a lot of neat stuff during the week. They served lunches at the high school and the elementary. They came over here and served lunches. They went and read books, just lots of fun stuff there. We had our big preschool through 12th grade Pet Fest on Thursday. This is the second year of doing that. It's a great way to show school spirit. You get the whole everybody in our school that's there that day gets in the gym and fills it up. So and then we had our parade, which the rain was kind of coming the day, but it held off. So we had a nice parade, and then the dance the following day. And then listed there at the bottom is a whole bunch of upcoming activities that we have. And then one other item that I shared with the high school staff today, and it's a video. Andrea Larson got a kind of on KTTC, they do student leaders and just do a little 30-second little clip on great things student leaders are doing in the area. So she kind of came up, and that was on last night on KTTC. So just kind of another good thing that some of our students are doing. So questions on high school?
I want to add one thing to his report. Was on September 20th on Wednesday. It was Wednesday, September 20th. I partnered with Nina Torkelson. We took a group of kids up to We Day. It's a day where a bunch of students from all over our state of Minnesota that come together, 18,000 students at the Excel Center, and we talk about volunteering and international, what we can do as our students in becoming better leaders in our communities, and it was really, really good. So it was our student council, International Honor Society students, so it was very fun to be a part of.
Just another way to build it. Kind of goes with our Silver Cord program that we implemented this year with that service learning and volunteership. The We Day starts with that. It's kind of like what can you do to make a difference in the world? So as part of that program, they do a local community service project, they do a national and then an international project. So it's just different ways, again, that we can promote service learning and community service to our students.
Any questions for Mr. Tim on either of the reports? Thank you, Mr. Tim. Mr. Beaverdorf, your activities director report.
All right, thank you. Time of the year, as the weather's changing, we're getting to the end of our regular season and getting ready for the playoff season. So I've got listed in my report all of the upcoming dates. Three Rivers Conference cross-country meet is tomorrow, held at St. Mary's. And then they'll be following up after MEA break with the section meet in Rochester at Northern Hills on October 27th. Volleyball finishes up their last regular season game tomorrow. It's a senior night where we'll be hosting Caledonia. And then the seeding takes place for the playoffs right away the following day. So Wednesday, we'll know our seeding. I know tentatively right now it's looking like we might be a 5 or 6 seed and be hosting the first round game on October 24th. And then obviously you can see the subsequent dates after that. RP football, with a 7-0 record, we earned at least a share, if not an outright win in the district. So we're district champions in that respect. But finishing off our regular season at Goodhue on this Wednesday. The seeding will take place the following day for the section placement as well. With an undefeated record, we're looking at a number 1 seed, which would be hosting a first round game on Tuesday, October 25th. And then the fall play is something that's kind of been going on, not necessarily in the background, but they've been busy, the cast and crew, preparing for the upcoming performances. They'll be performing at 7 p.m. on November 11th and 12th, and then an afternoon performance on November 13th. So kind of a wrap up to their exciting fall, which then builds into their one-act play season for a number of those same students. The rest of my report is extending thank yous to a lot of people that make our fall programs work. And you can kind of read through the list. I won't read them all for you, other than I noted that I missed one person, which I apologize for. Custodian Rod Morcom. He does a fabulous job of prepping the field year-round, but specifically during the fall here. So he's another one that I wanted to note, in addition to Joe Himley, Carl Holger, and Paul Anderson there. So those, and then one other one that I'll just point out again, as far as our athletic training services that we get through Winona Health. And with Mariah Sendelbeck. It's been fabulous to have her, and that's kind of in a thank you to you guys for agreeing to, first of all, supporting our initial request last year, and then expanding it where we have her coverage at all of our games. Unfortunately, we've had a number of injuries occur, but we've always had that trainer right there, which is not the case at a number of our Three Rivers Conference schools. So we're very fortunate, and our student athletes, and I know one of our last home games we had Southland, and the parents were just saying, oh man, it's great that you have somebody here to help with this. And she's over at the B team game right now. Just again, expressing thank you to her, but also thank you for your support of that as well. And then you can see not that we're looking to quickly transition, but as quick as October 24th is when our winter dance program, winter dance team begins their practice with their tryout process. And then November 14th, girls basketball starts, and November 21st is wrestling and boys basketball. So we're back to the, as people would say, the old way of doing it, or the traditional way, where boys follow 1 week behind the girls. For the last, I believe, 3 years, the boys have been early, and that was due to a conflict at the XL Energy Center, or at Target Center. So those are all upcoming dates as well. I would entertain any questions you guys may have.
I just make note, I was going to mention Andrea Larson from KTTC, but Mr. Tim did. But also on KTTC, Noah Carlson was Athlete of the Week a couple weeks ago. And then I understand KSTP in the cities had him as running for Athlete of the Week for the state of Minnesota.
Is it Athlete of the Month?
Or was it
No,
Athlete
it
of
was
the
player, they have Player of the Week.
Player of the
Out of the
Week.
Star Tribune, each week they select, I think it's like 5 or 6 people that get voted on, and that was after the game against Lewiston. He
Okay,
was up for football Offensive Player of the Week.
okay. So that was pretty exciting to have his name up there too.
Yep.
Anything else, Mr. Beaver? Want to move on to your next agenda item, the logo?
Transition right to that. Got a handout for you here, and I'll ask Katie to pass them down to you. And Dean, I believe you should have received this in an email.
I did.
Okay. What we did as, I guess I don't know if as administrative team, but then we met last spring with our coaching staff. And one of the topics we discussed was kind of as we transition to a new school is just to take a look at our current RP logo and mascot and to try to determine what, if we could select one specific one to go forward with. And as you can see here, the result of this was a survey we recently sent out to the students and staff. But it started with talking with our coaches, and I've got a different version if you can look over here as well. We looked at a lot of different styles of Trojans, and we know over the years there's been many different Trojans, whether you call it the USC Trojan or the whatever. They've been other people's Trojan mascots that we've been using. So we started with our coaches and kind of said, radically different, more traditional, what kind of direction do we want to go to as a starting point? And we got the feedback from them, and that was kind of overwhelming in terms of overwhelming support for a traditional style, a face profile with some type of a helmet, as opposed to something radically different. And then also at that same time, we asked them for their feedback on school colors, in terms of, do we go green with the traditional, I don't know if you want to call it yellowish gold, versus green and the Vegas gold, like some of our uniforms have kind of been transitioning to, and the majority at that point also said green and gold, the traditional. So that brings us to the survey that I have in front of you. And I can kind of read what it says here too. For years, there have been several different versions of the logos and mascots that have been used to represent Rushford Peterson schools and the Trojans, and in each case, they were copied from someone else. Our goal was to be able to select a new logo and mascot that's original and unique to Rushford Peterson, and then be able to use these exclusively moving forward. And that we wanted to get the feedback not from just the coaches, not just from the staff, but we sent this survey out to all of our middle school students, our high school students, and all of our staff. There was separate questions. So the first one that says the logo, where you can see A, B, C, D across, was showing the different font styles and then how that could transition down. So if you selected A or B, it would mean a potential letterhead with kind of the more block style letters. R touching the P versus RP versus we even took it one step further than what that would look like Rushford Peterson Trojans, as you can see there. And then C and D. Then after that was a separate question about the selection of a mascot. So after sending this out, getting 334 responses, the response came back for A for the logo as well as A for the mascot. In each of the subgroups that I broke up down as well, In terms of the selection of the mascot itself, it was the one that received the highest number of votes at the middle school, the highest number of votes at the high school, the highest number of votes from the staff. The same for the logo, with the exception of the middle school was very close between A and D on the actual lettering at the top. But then it was very strong in terms of support for A from the high school and the staff members, so. I guess what we're bringing to you, or what I'm bringing to you, is this information, I guess, first and foremost. And I don't know if it's too quick to act in terms of to get your support to make this our go-forward plan. But this was literally still getting responses on Friday, so that's why I didn't get it up to you any sooner. So I apologize for that. But our goal then would be, with your support or with your approval, these would be our logos going forward. In how we're representing Rushford-Peterson, even from a letterhead, from a branding aspect, letterhead to mascot, logos, and everything. So I can certainly entertain your questions as well that you may have, because I'm sure you might have some.
I guess one I have is, would we have to change the logos or the lettering on anything of the uniforms and the current uniforms, and what would the cost for that?
No, the intent would be anything new going forward.
Okay.
So there's been a couple community members that have said, well, what about, all of our sweatshirts that have one style of Trojan? The reality is you can sit in the high school and walk around the halls and see 4 or 5 different styles of Trojans. The pad on the back of behind the baskets, or the padding there is different than a Trojan that's right in the lobby, which is different than if you're in the high school hallway. So it's just to standardize as we go forward a uniform presence. I know we're not alone in doing this. I know Caledonia and La Crescent are 2 schools within our Three Rivers Conference that are either in the process or just recently did this as well, in terms of trying to standardize the image that they're portraying out as a go-forward strategy, yes.
I like the A mascot that they picked. I'm completely comfortable with the A that they picked on the logo. My preference is D in the Rushford-Peterson Trojan Center, because I think it pops more, but
I agree.
yeah. But if you did a vote with the students and such.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to make sure, is we got a big enough cross-section, not just, I'm not trying to say the adult way of thinking, but not just
Right.
staff members or just coaches. And the coaches said too, we gotta get out to the students and get that. We didn't go as far down as the elementary, but we did middle school,
Yeah.
6th grade through 12th grade, so. And then all of our staff, paras, and, all of our staff, including our parents, so.
I'm comfortable with that.
If it's appropriate, Mr. Chair, I would move that we allow the change as recommended by the survey.
There's a motion by Mr. Pettit to approve the survey as recommended.
Copel second.
Second by Coe. Any more discussion? So I understand that'd be A.
And A, yeah, A and A.
Anybody have any more comments on the logo issue?
I'll just follow up before you vote, is my thanks to Dan for the work that he's put into this, and we've also had the pleasure of having others contribute to this as well. Brooke Milsna has been working with Dan and I ever since we started this, and Lisa Tim also assisted with the process, so we've had others that have assisted as we finalize these items, and so we've been very appreciative of other people making contributions as we move forward with this task of looking at our designs and making sure that it met everybody's expectations. So very appreciative of the feedback though that we got, Dan putting the survey together, and then the response that we got. So I thought it was I thought it was excellent.
And anything we do for the new school would represent these fonts and this logo, correct?
Correct, that would be the intent, yes. Yep. And with, as he said, Brooke Mausna and her assistants, once we would narrow it down to say, yes, this is the look, we want A and A, it doesn't mean that is set as in terms of the only way, because then what she's talked about sharing with us is the taking the branding to the next step would then be showing multiple looks of this. So it could be that Trojan head with font wrapping around it, like a circle or a seal that way. And then just a standard letterhead that would go on paper, and then something that could go potentially on the basketball court floor, and you know, kind of expanding, but using this as this is our base.
Okay, we have a motion pending to approve the A for the logo. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the two logo and mascot designs signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Mr. Beaver. Moving on to item 6, which is the recommendation to go to closed session to discuss the issue pending. So I guess we would need a motion to go to closed session.
And just so everybody knows, excuse me, John, sure. The board will be leaving the room to the FCS classroom. So those of you that are here for the meeting, you're not going to be asked to move. The board will be making the move. So we have it set up in the FCS room for us to.
I'll carry Dean over.
Yep. So, sorry about that. From that point, we need to move forward then with a motion. Sorry for interjecting that.
No, that's fine. So, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second, Iverson.
Second, Iverson.